Hello, good morning, crafty friends. Happy Thursday. Welcome. I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad I'm here today. I know you're not used to seeing me on Thursdays, but I've had the last couple of Thursday lives, which I am excited to join you. So tell me you're here as you're hopping on. We are going to get crafty together. We are coming into the holiday season, and so all the ideas are up there. This is the time that all the ideas start to flow and the inspiration and all the fun things. But this is also the time we need to get started on our holiday projects because, speaking from a procrastinator, if you wait till the last minute, all of those fun ideas don't actually come to fruition. So, just excited to share another holiday idea with you guys today and encourage you to get in your craft room and get ahead because your future self will thank you. And I am actually thankful to be doing this too because it gets me ahead on my own Christmas crafting. So today we are going to do a holiday project together. So let's see who's here. Hello, Sue. Excited for the ideas. Good morning, Anna. And Debbie's here. Good morning, Sherry, South Carolina. Hello, Linda out in Colorado. Awesome. Good morning, Melissa. Bernadine is here and Deneen. Awesome. Well, everybody's excited. What did Deneen say? I can't wrap my mind on Christmas stuff when I'm just now working on Halloween. Well, that's what happens when you're last minute. You're working on the last minute things and not thinking ahead, but that's okay. I do that all the time. Get your Halloween stuff done and then hop into Christmas or Thanksgiving if you haven't done anything there yet. We've got lots of inspiration for you as you get to all of your fall seasonal and holiday crafting coming up. So let's see who else is here. Linda up in rainy Minnesota. It is rainy here today too. It's supposed to get pretty chilly. I've heard, I don't even want to say the word, but I have heard rumors of a couple of inches of a substance that I don't want to talk about because I don't like snow. So I don't know if any of you are with me, but especially snow in October is not something we want to see. And we're supposed to be trick-or-treating and still enjoying the outdoors without having to worry about that stuff. So, good morning, Barbara. You finished up your treat boxes yesterday for your grandkids. Yay, you. Hi, Paula. Oh, and it's Farley's birthday today. Happy birthday. Good morning, Trudy. All right. Debbie, thank you for asking. I know we've had some questions, and I actually haven't been... I just haven't seen these questions pop up as the lives come through, but I know several of you have asked about the Tailored Expressions blog and whether it is being updated. Currently, you've noticed it has not been updated for a while. And you guys might also have missed Heather here on the lives lately. So Heather does lives for us and she also updates our blog, and she is taking a leave to be with her family. And so she is not available to do those things. And I'm glad you guys are noticing that the blog is not updated. That means that you're reading it, and we will get back to that as soon as Heather is able to be back with us. I'm also looking into getting my own login so I can hopefully get some updates for you on the blog as well. But yeah, so just so you're aware, that's why you haven't been seeing Heather on the lives and why you're seeing more of me on Thursdays. And then Susan's been on vacation, which today was Susan's day on the live, but she's away on vacation. And so you get me. So there's the explanation on the blog, and don't worry, we do have plans to continue it in the future, and I'm glad to know that you guys are at least missing it, because then we know that you're looking at it and reading it and hoping for updates. So there's the updates, and yes, please send all your good thoughts and to Heather as she's with her family. So all right, you guys. Yes, Debbie says that your Halloween is going to be cold. Yuck. I know. I'm actually thinking about skipping it this year. I know that sounds horrible. But John can handle trick-or-treating with the kids if it's super cold. Henry doesn't really like trick-or-treating. He doesn't wear costume, and so he does kind of enjoy handing out candy, so he'll definitely be doing that part. And then Charlie, our middle daughter, she is heading out with friends this year to trick or treat. They get to that age where it's just not cool to trick or treat with your family anymore. So I'm sure some of the 10-year-olds from the neighborhood are gonna run around in the freezing cold and get some candy. And then our oldest daughter and I, actually the high school team here in our town made it to the state volleyball tournament, and we're big volleyball fans, and so we want to go support them. And their first game is on Monday, which would be Beggar's Night for us, which is when trick-or-treating happens. So we could probably get back in time from the game, but we'll see how that all shakes out. So I might not actually be involved in trick-or-treating this year, but I will have candy for everyone that comes to our house. All right, you guys. Well, let me get you looking at what we're going to do today. So I am pulling in a previously released product that is something that I haven't revisited for quite a while, but it holds a special little place in my heart because it was our very first quad stencil. So our quad stencils have been an innovation that just came to me one day when I was thinking, why are we always cutting our paper down and then doing multiple layers of stencils? Why not make a large stencil that you can create multiple layers for, but then be able to cut apart and get 4 card panels from one stencil? So when this idea came out, it was launched with does anybody know? I wonder if anybody remembers what our very first Creating Quads stencil was. I bet a lot of you probably have it. It might be, I haven't run any numbers on this, but it might be our best-selling quad ever. Just because it was new and it was different and everybody really gravitated towards it. It's really pretty artwork too, and it's for Christmas. Oh, Candy's got it. Yes, it was the Mistletoe quad. And Louise is a quad freak. Well, we had our Quad of the Month club over the kind of spring, summer, and into September months, which kind of gathered more, I guess, quad freaks to go with you, Louise, because we had lots of subscribers and people who really gravitated towards the quads during that time. So yes, it was the Mistletoe quad, and it's a perfect time to pull that back out, but I wanted to repurpose it and show you guys how you could create multiple tags from one blended panel. So I'm curious, how many tags do you think I am going to create from one blended panel of the Mistletoe quad? Well, I'm about to show you my layout. Let's bring you down to the screen and you guys can see. Yes, this stencil, the one that I'm talking about, is the Mistletoe quad, is still available on the website, so you can shop it there. It's called Creating Quads Mistletoe. And I know this particular piece here doesn't look like much, but this is the template that I wanted to show all of you for how I created the tags using the Mistletoe quad stencil. We're going to blend it together today, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to get the most out of your piece here. I even left a couple pieces up here because I ran out of time when I was creating, but these pieces right here along this edge and up here, I could even probably make 2 more tags. So if I were to make those 2 more tags, even down here, I might be able to get 1 more out of that area there too. But somewhere between, I'd say 14 to 18 tags is what I was able to make. And you see that I cut out some larger tags from the background. So you could even make more than that if you didn't want to use full patterns or have a lot of the pattern shown on the design. So let me just move this off to the side, and I'm gonna just bring in here all of the tags that I created with this Mistletoe quad so you guys can get some ideas. I've got all different shapes and sizes and all different sentiments on them. Here we go. Of course, I brought in some other cardstock, so I decided to kind of cut my tags out of a couple different colors. And I used toffee cardstock and also cherry pop cardstock. So there are all the tags that I made with this one blended piece. But for the fun of it, let's do some of these together. I'm going to get out my Mistletoe quad and we're going to blend it, and then I can share some of the tips as you go to kind of create these tags yourself. I love that some of you are thinking, Jennifer says, I have the snowflake. I could use that to make tags. That was really the purpose of this live today, was to just get you thinking outside of the box with your quad stencils. So you don't have to just make 4 card panels. Tags are another option, and they could be for any occasion. Maybe you're making birthday tags with some of our other themed stencils that have different patterns on them. You could really dress those up and create tags with those as well. Okay, so by now, I think most of us who know about quad stencils know about the Tailored Expressions Create in Quad paper pack. So this is the cardstock that's cut specifically to size to allow you to stencil over the top and then cut just 2 times to get those 4 different panels. So we have this in both sugar cube and toffee. And I'm just going to take that piece of paper, and actually I'm going to do my stencil first. I was going to tack it down, but it's easier if I can hold the stencil up to my old aging eyes and align it behind and then tack it down to my placemat. So I'm curious, what's on your desk today? What's on your craft table? Do you have a procrastinated project that needs to get finished? Are you working ahead on crafty projects for the holidays? Okay, so I am lining up that paper behind the etched guideline that's all the way around the outside of the stencil. Once I have that in place, then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to tack down the stencil to the back, or the paper to the back of the stencil with some teal tape. And then we'll take this piece and place that down onto our placemat. Kimberly's working on Gnome for the holidays. Krista says too much stuff on her desk. Trisha, Christmas cards. Ooh, the luminaries. Oh, and laundry. Womp womp. Nobody likes to be working on laundry, but I understand. You can make cards or throw a load of laundry in between a card. All right, so the first color I'm using across this layer 1 of the stencil is Pea Pod. And I'm just going to give it a nice light coat of Pea Pod here, because I have another color that I will accent these leaves with. And then layer 2 is the color that kind of goes over the top and creates the halftone leaves. So one of the things I've had fun looking at on the fan page, Charlie posted recently whether, since we're all crafty people here, whether you have made Halloween costumes for your kids or grandkids. Maybe your craftiness goes beyond paper crafts. And some of my best memories are costumes that my mom made for me. She is an amazing seamstress. And I still remember walking in the elementary school parade. They always paraded the kids around the neighborhood so the people could come out and like sit on their porch and watch the kids walk by in their costumes. So I still remember the year that she made me a Garfield costume, and I loved it. I was the only one with a Garfield costume. You know, we had a lot of witches and ghosts and that kind of thing, but I just remember all the neighborhood as we'd walk by, look, it's Garfield. So if you've ever made a costume for a child or a grandchild, it was appreciated, even if they didn't say that, and they will appreciate it later on in life when they have these memories and remember and see pictures. So I loved seeing a lot of you shared photos of costumes that you had made. And I feel like now is the time to give a shout out to Charlie, who is she's up for Mother of the Year award, if you didn't know. Charlie, who works our social media, you guys know Charlie. Sometimes I talk about Charlie, my daughter, so I feel like I have to I have to delineate between the two of them. But Charlie here at the office has a little boy, and he's 2. She makes him such adorable things, and this year she created the most fabulous costume that will go down as, yeah, she'll be toting that Mother of the Year award for many years to come, because little Rhett is Buzz Lightyear, complete with like the rocket. He has like a space rocket ship, and it lights up. I'm sure Charlie has pictures. Maybe she's already shared them on the fan page that I missed, but absolutely amazing. I love it. And I asked her if she wanted to adopt any of my kids for costume making. But then I remembered Henry doesn't like costumes, so he'll be just dressing up as Henry this year to hand out candy, which I still haven't bought. Hi, Candy. Good to see you here. Candy was in visiting the studio earlier this week, so now I get to put a face with a name for one of our regulars here on the live. Glad you were able to make it in. It was nice to chat a bit. I'm glad you made it home safe, too. That was a long drive. All right, so here I'm just taking a little bit of cilantro ink and adding some dimension to those leaves with my Bitty blender brush. And then before we switch stencil layers, I'm gonna grab my pencil here because I have not marked my alignment squares yet. So there are alignment squares on each layer, and they match up from layer to layer. So you can save yourself lots of headache of lining up each layer if you just mark these little squares on your placemat. And then when we remove the stencil, the paper is going to stay in place. Just like that. And we can take layer 2, place it over the top, and use those squares to make sure the stencil is perfectly aligned. And you can also just use your visual cues so you can see where the design is supposed to layer over the top of the leaves that are already there. So if you're using this stencil, the first layer is your lighter green, and then the second layer needs to be darker because it's actually falling over the top of the green that you've already laid down. So just a tip if you are doing that. I gotta grab a different blender brush here just a second. Okay. I like to use often my navy blender brush for poblano pepper. It's one of those kind of pretty dark, intense inks. And then this color is just going to go right over the top of the green that we already laid down. Now I did like this particular stencil because it gave me lots of white space also. So when I'm cutting these tags out, I can incorporate the white space from the panel into the spot where I want to stamp my sentiment. Almost there. Oh, Candy says Louise made a pizza place suggestion for you. I'm curious what she suggested. Did you go to Wig and Pen? That's close to the TE shop. Okay, so that's layer 2 of the stencil. Then let's pull that up. So you can see our leaves are now two-toned in color, and we've been through 2 layers of the stencil. We'll pull in layer 3 here, and again use those alignment squares to line them up. Make sure that these berries are falling into place on the ends of our branches. And then I'll be using watermelon for this layer. I've never actually timed myself in blending a quad. I know we always tease Heather about being a super fast Olympic speed blender, but I do know that, I don't know, I'd guess maybe about 10, 15 minutes. Does that sound about right? You guys have probably watched me do it enough times to know how long it takes, but I think that's a pretty good amount of time in order to get 14 tags. And the tags are not too difficult. They're really simple, actually. I'm going to show you one sentiment set that you can use on all of the tags. And it was actually the sentiment set that was released with this quad stencil when it first came out. Okay, so that's layer 3. We have our berries, and then this last layer, this is a dimensional detail for the berries. So as you have gathered, both of the both of the layers have a detail dimensional layer to them. So you have the initial layer of the leaves that needs to be the lighter green, and then you have the dimensional or kind of half-tone layer of the leaves coming next. Then you have the solid layer of the berries, and then the dimensional layer of the berries, which needs to be the darker red color. And for this, I will be using mulled wine ink. If you wanted to dress it up a little bit, another great option is our red glitter paste. I love doing pastes on the last layers of the stencil. It does take a while, obviously, then to let it dry, so that's kind of why I chose to just continue with the inking instead of having to wait for that glitter paste to dry before we can die cut and cut into our panels. But it does look really pretty. I've done it on cards several times. Yes, Kathy says this would be fun to use non-traditional colors and make birthday gift tags. I've seen this stencil in many non-traditional color and many non-Christmas colors, I should say. And it looks like spring leaves and berries. If you were to do the berries in purples or blues, I've even seen them in yellows. They look like little budding flowers on the ends of the green. And of course, you can use some lighter, more spring greens like the spearmint or mint julep that we have. And this would be a great one for tags for all occasions when you just change up the colors of the ink. Nicole asked what color was layer 1. It was pea pod. And then I did a little bit of dimensional blending with my Bitty blender brush with cilantro. So the first layer was pea pod and cilantro. Okay, I think I feel good about that. Let's do the big final reveal. Take a look at our design. There There it is. Peel it up off of the placemat here. I like to make sure I have lots of adhesive on the back of my cardstock because I don't want it to move while I'm blending. Or if it moves, then my alignment squares wouldn't line up anymore. So I do like to put lots of adhesive on the back, but then sometimes I don't like when this is sticky. And so I take my powder tool and I just pounce it over the top of the adhesive. And then it's not sticky anymore. And sometimes if you get stickiness on your placemat, like I've got a little bit of extra sticky from the back of the cardstock here, you can just kind of rub over the top of that, and then you've got a clean, non-sticky surface to work with. Okay, so even though we're not going to use these for cards, we are going to cut this apart because I found it just easier to work with when you cut it apart. So let me pull these teal tape pieces off of the back. Slowly. And then we're going to cut this into our 4 quadrants, which means we're going to cut down the center at 4 inches because we started with a piece of paper that was 8 by 10.5. If you do prefer to blend on an 8.5 by 11, you would just need to cut off a 1/4 inch from the outside edges before you cut down the center. So this just makes it one step quicker. 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to give us pieces that are easier to go through our die cut machine as we cut these and make tags. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to bring this back in so you can see the template that I did this on the fly, so I didn't really have a plan for exactly what I was going to cut into each of these tags or each of these quadrants. I just kind of decided as I went, and I knew I wanted to get as many tags as I could. I left a little bit of design here and here where I could probably even get more than the 14 tags that I have, but the first one that I did is probably the easiest. I loved this whole design of the mistletoe, and so I wanted to kind of keep that intact and not cut it apart. So I used the largest of our tag stacklets 4, and I cut that out with that tag. So this tag stacklets 4 is new. It was just released this month. We do have, let me bring in some of my other favorites when I'm making tags. So we have lots of tag dies. We have tag stacklets 1, which I did not use on these, but then we have tag stacklets 2, which is this kind of angled shape here, and then we have pierced tag stacklets 2. Never mind this set, it's the same as this one. I just lost a die, so I had to get a new one. So we have pierced tag stacklets 2 that layers with this. And then we have tag stacklets 3, which is a set of circle tags, and then tag stacklets 4, which is just new this month. So lots of options. Would it be helpful? I think it probably would. Maybe I'm asking a rhetorical question. I'm thinking it would be helpful if I posted this template in the comments or on the fan page a little bit later. It could probably be helpful because I've labeled exactly which dies I used in order to get all of these pieces. So I think these 3 are pretty self-explanatory as to how I created them. It's this one down here that's a little bit harder. It is one big piece of cardstock, so we're going to go ahead and do this one together. It takes a couple of different steps to do it because I do hang those dies off of the edge. So we need, it's a good thing I labeled these so I don't have to figure them out right in front of you while you all watch. We need the second largest tag stacklets 4, and that's going to come out this way. So I'll just loosely tape it down for now. And then we need the third smallest tag stacklets 2. So third smallest, 1, 2, 3, this one here. And you can kind of decide whether you want the pattern of your tag to be on the top of the tag or on the bottom of the tag. You can see I did it a lot of different ways here. This one is at the bottom of the tag. This one's kind of on the side. It's a side horizontal tag. And then I did this one. Where did that one go? This one. Here it is. I did this one with the pattern on the top of the tag. So lots of different options for where you put the pattern. Just depends on where you place your tag at when you put it down on the sheet. So we're going to loosely place or tape this one down. Start bringing my die cut machine over so I don't have to reach. Try to push your pieces as close as you can together. Okay, so next up we need the third largest pierced tag stacklets 2. Third largest, 1, 2, 3, that's this one. And we're going to come down in this corner here. And I just have to make sure I'm getting that full pattern on there. Okay, then I can't do this on this particular one, but I came in the side here. This looks like the third largest of tag stacklets 4. I'll finish filling out this template so you can see what these pieces are. But for this one, I just came in the side here, about halfway. And that's where that one is going to go. So then after I make these cuts, I have these extra pieces here, and I'm going to come back in and cut with a couple of other tags. But because you see my dies are hanging off of the edge, I can't fit this entire piece through. My typical Big Shot template is only 6 by 9 inches, and this is too big. So I'm going to take these two and set them aside, and we're going to run this one through. Go this way. Judy asked, curious how often you need to change the blade on your cutter. Well, yes, you're right. It does depend on how much you use it for how often you need to change it. But gosh, Whitney probably does that for me. So I'm not sure I have a great idea on exactly how long, but it would be different for you. I would say I just change my blade when I notice that the edges are getting fuzzy, but I do, when I'm not on the live, I do use my guillotine cutter more often, so it's just a little bit easier to bring my blade trimmer into the live area. But I do love, I have the Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer, both the mini and the large one. I think it's made by Tonic. So some other options for cutting if you are finding you're kind of going through a lot of blades with the other type of cutter. Okay, now that those are done, I'm going to take these off. And we're going to put these back on. This one is going to come in from the edge here about halfway. Need a little more tape on this one. Okay, now we'll cut these two. So you kind of have to get creative with how you're positioning these and using up every last little scrap of pattern on each of these pieces. So this one all over pattern piece, we're actually going to get 6 tags out of that one. That makes up for the 1 tag that you get out of the mistletoe piece here. But it's so pretty to keep it together. Okay, so we'll take that tape off and we have that kind of half piece. And then we have the bottom here on this one. Okay, so this is what we have left. Let's grab the template here and make sure we can figure out which dies I used. Okay, so I have a small, let's bring back this set. I think this is the one that I used. The second smallest tag is going to come right up into this space here. Just like that. And then, let me tape that down before it shifts on me. And then we're going to take the, I believe it's the 3rd largest tag from the same set, and we're going to place that to cut another strip of pattern along the bottom here. Now on this particular one, I've got a good long strip over here that's going to be left over, so that might even get me another tag. Nothing goes to waste on this idea. Yes, that's a great idea too. I did think about that. Mindy says the Take a Bow die set would be great with these tags too. I thought about it a little bit too late this morning when I came in and reminded myself what I was making today, and then realized, oh, I should have pulled out those fun 3D bows. Okay, so here's the bottom of this tag, little pattern here, and then this tiny guy. All right, so let me get a few tags cut. So we have these kind of pieces that are partial tags, and we need to actually cut a full tag to then place our patterns on. So I'm going to use the same tag shapes that I used to cut out the patterned pieces, because then they're all going to match up perfectly when I go to place the patterned piece down. So we'll cut a couple of these and then we'll go ahead and put these together, and I'll send you guys on your merry way to tag making. Of course, pictures will be coming of all these options. It would just take a little bit too long to create all of these tags today. So I wanted to just walk you through that one panel, the hardest one to cut, and then I have a couple of tips as you're creating the tags themselves. So let's see. This little piece then matches up with the bottom of that tag. And then this little partial piece matches up with the bottom of this tag. So there's those two. And then here are the other 4 pieces that we got out of this particular patterned piece. I have a little bit of tape left on here. Okay. And then we have this one and this one. So let me show you all of the tags that were created with these pieces. So there's what I started with, and there's the finished tag. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see that. Then we have this one. Let me see if I can find that. Here's this one with that piece. Then we have our half tag with this one. And then this one is this. So there's how I took those small pieces of patterns and actually turned them into full tags. All right, I'm going to zoom out again, and we're going to finish off these two over here on the right. You guys know that I love to splatter, right? So I think that adds a lot of just fun, I guess, something extra. It almost looks like little snow in the background. So I did splatter all of the solid tags on these on this set of tags, and I did that with my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. Not to be confused with your Doc Martin combat boots that are coming back in style these days. All right. Are we good? Are we in the box? I think so. Okay, so I've got my tags then, and put those down inside, and we'll take the, uh-oh, I'm a little worried. Okay, the video seems to be skipping on my end just a little bit, so hopefully you guys are seeing this okay. Kind of hard to tell, I know, because I'm in an empty box talking to you. I've got the Dr. P.H. Martin's now that I'm grabbing with a little bit of that medium out of the jar with a paintbrush. Okay, Whitney, maybe you want to come in or let me know, because on my end it looks like the video is skipping quite a bit, but I'm not sure anybody else realizes that since I'm just inside of the box. So yeah, if you can hear me, let me know you're still hearing me. I'm going to mix up this medium then with my paintbrush and a little bit of water. I used a couple drops of water out of my eyedropper. Okay, good. I'm getting some looks good on my end. I'm glad. Okay, so I'm grabbing that medium off of the acrylic block, and then Hi, you heard me. You heard me?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
It skipped a little bit, but your sound is on.
Okay, good.
Working.
Everybody's.
So I'll just check it. And
do you see the skipping still? Or is it done? Okay. All right. So I've splattered. Got a couple of big splatters. So those are going to take just a minute to dry. So let me pull those aside here, and I might have to go ahead and hit those with my heat tool to get them to dry so we can continue on. I should really just grab my mini mitts and hold these. Good thing we have those stored in the drawer here.
you're all good.
Okay, good.
It just skipped for a moment, then it came right back to your same place, but your voice was on.
Okay, good.
So you can finish adorable this!
Thank you for confirming for me. I always get nervous, but
I know.
really, since we moved to our new building and got everything set up here, we haven't had, I should knock on wood. This is a wood top desk, so I'm gonna knock, but I feel like we haven't had connectivity issues except maybe once the internet went out.
Mm-hmm.
Why always during the live?
I have no idea.
Let the internet go out at midnight.
Yes. Someone cut the lines then, please?
Yes. All right, so I just hit those with my heat tool quickly so that we could dry them and keep moving on. So I'm gonna grab those two pieces then, these two little patterned pieces, and we're gonna adhere them down to the bottom of each of the tags that they coordinate with. It is rainy and stormy here today, so I'm glad we're all good. Right. Then I wanted, on a lot of my tags, I like to have a separator between the actual tag and the patterned piece. I think it just adds, I don't know, just a finished look to your project. And here are a couple examples of what I'm talking about. So I put a red strip here separating the tag from the pattern. I used gold foil cardstock on this one, and then over here red again. So I've got some scraps of red cardstock, and I'm just going to cut off a couple little strips that we can use to separate the pattern and add a little bit more interest to our tags, a little bit more color. I'm not sure that one was straight, so I'm gonna cut another one. When you use scraps of cardstock, you need to make sure that the end you're cutting is actually straight, or it doesn't look good. Okay, so there's one. Another little tip, I like to put my strip of glue on the actual tag, because then I know that I don't accidentally get more glue than I need on my strip and then it ends up on my fingers. So just a little something I've found is helpful when I'm gluing things that are larger than what I need onto a smaller piece. I like to use the glue on the desired dimension piece. So then we can cut our excess off and not get glue on our scissors or our fingers. Oops, this end came up a little bit, so I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there. And then we can cut that one off. Cute tiny little tags, right? Has anybody been thinking about what ribbon you would put with these? Let's talk about the stamp that I used then. I used the same, as I mentioned earlier, I used the same stamp set on all of these tags. I think somebody asked and I didn't have a chance to answer about a to from stamp. And yes, I do, when I'm ready to put these on tags or on gifts. Actually, I should probably just do it now. Put that to from on the back. We've got lots of sets. A lot of our tag team sets come with a to from in them. If you've been part of any of our past advent calendars or October freebies, a lot of times we do a to from stamp with our every order freebie. I know last year we did. So there are lots of options. We recently released the set that came out with these tag stacklets 4, and that one has a to from in it as well. So lots of options for to from. You can also handwrite it if you want, but all the sentiments on these tags are from this clear stamp set. This is called Modern Holiday Greetings, and if I can put a white piece behind it, you can probably see those sentiments a little bit better. But they're perfect for tags or for cards too, for that matter. We actually released this sentiment set when the quad stencil came out. So these sentiments are designed to kind of fit in the open spaces, the open white spaces of the quad if you are creating tags with or creating cards with them. But they work great for tags, and there's lots of different sized sentiments too. So I'm going to move some of these finished ones out of the way here so we can finish up a couple of tags here, and I'll send you guys on your way for today. Yes, Michelle says, I saw a post yesterday that they were starting to box and ship the advent calendars. They are. We have a special seasonal crew in this year, and they have done nothing other than build advent calendars. And work on Stamp Joy for several weeks now. And so I'm sure they are super excited to be getting to the end where the boxes are being built and palletized and eventually shipped out closer to the end of this month. So I know it's the 26th, but I think those shipping notifications, if you pre-ordered one of our advent calendars, you should start seeing a shipping notification towards the end of this month. So here we go. This is the VersaFine Claire ink that I'm using, and I did Wishing You Peace and Joy for this tag. Love that ink. Perfect every time. Just have to stamp it once. And then let's figure out what we want to do on the little guy here. Maybe I'll show you one of my selective stamping methods. So some of these sentiments or tags, if you see on a lot of the circle tags and smaller tags here, I used one word that's a part of a larger sentiment. So on this one, why don't we just use joy? I like that. I like that word. We like to share joy around here. We like to experience joy. All right, so I'm going to grab this sentiment that says wishing you the joy of the season. We're going to place that right up here so that it's centered on the toffee tag. I'll pick that up with the lid, and then I'm going to take my VersaFine Clair ink again, and I'm only going to ink the joy portion. All right. If you do get any ink on the top or bottom words, you can always take a baby wipe and wipe it off. I think I did pretty good not getting any on mine, and then we can close that over the top. I think I want to do one more. Sometimes when you're selectively inking, you don't quite get all the parts on the first try because you're trying to avoid other parts. Okay, so I did that again, and we'll close. There's that one. Isn't that perfect? Perfect little joy tag. Love it. Okay, then the other one that I made was the wishing you peace and joy. Now, if you want to get fancy, even fancier than what we already have, you can grab red glitter drops. Love these, especially when we're talking about berries for holly. So it just made sense to bring them into this project. And you can add a couple of drops of glue. If you want to spread them out, you can even add a dot of glue where there is no berry. And we're just going to add a few glitter drops. To finish these off. Couple more. All right, there it is. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that a lot of our tag stacklets do not have pre-poked holes in them. So you'll have to grab a hole punch, and a lot of times when I'm doing tags, I just use a regular size office hole punch, and I'll add my holes in the top so that I can tie it on. And there is a reason why we didn't add holes to these, and that's because, well, a couple different reasons. A lot of times I like to build a scene or build my sentiment or something on a tag and then put that on my card, and I don't always want a hole in it when I'm adding it to a card piece. But the other reason is when you take a look at these die sets, we get a lot more, we're able to include a lot more shapes when we nest them together without the holes in them. If they end up having the holes, then the metal comes down farther to keep that hole in place, and then we aren't able to get as many pieces nested together. So things maybe you didn't want to know, but those are the reasons for not having the holes pre-done. Our circle tags do, however, have a little hole in them, and you will notice that that set comes with, I think there's only 5 in this set as opposed to 7, 8, even 9 dies in some of our other stacklet sets. But with the circle, it makes sense, makes it a lot easier. You get that little notch in the top, and you don't lose your design space by putting the hole down into the circle. So here they are. What do you guys think? Get them all in the picture here. And then I did promise that I would share the template. I might even work something up that's maybe more of a graphic and not handwritten, Taylor's handwritten template notes. Something that you guys could print off and then keep if you wanted to. But I will get that formatted and added to the discussion about the tags. All right, you guys, love them all. Thank you. Thank you, Deb and Paula, Amy. Thank you, Melissa. All right, well, I'm going to say farewell for today then. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And somebody did ask just a little bit ago if there was a kit this month, and Tuesday is October 31st, technically the last Tuesday of October, and we will have a kit. And it will be our last kit of the year. So in November, the end of November is Black Friday and all of that excitement. So we won't have a kit in November. And then December, we have Christmas and New Year's at the end of the month. So again, we will not have a kit in December. So this will be your last kit of the year, and it will launch on Tuesday. So I hope you're ready. I hope you'll join me on Tuesday to see what we have in store for you. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the trick-or-treating festivities if I don't see you before then. Bye-bye.